What's going on, y'all? So we are back for another movie corner, and this time this is a movie that I actually enjoy. Girl, we are back for weapons. Now, first of all, remember when I told y'all about what it is? I was like, okay, so I rented, him, and I rented weapons. Weapons cost me like $6.99 or whatever. Him cost me $9.99. Why I do that? Mind you, that was 2 days ago, right? 2 days ago. I went on HBO Max this earlier today while I was at work. Just trying to check up and see if it was some stuff on there that I could look at on my lunch break, whatever. And baby, why was weapons on there? I said, you know what? So all I had to do was wait a couple of days. When did it get on there? Did it get on there yesterday? Today? Like, what's going on? I gotta start checking the schedules and stuff because that's $6.99 that I could have used for something else. But hey, it's just $6.99. It is what it is. But let's just get up into it. Weapons. Weapons is a movie that I can see myself watching again. Girl, they turned I want to call her Miss Myrtle so bad. They turned Gladys ass into a shish kebab, bitch, okay? Girl, I said, that's what she deserved, to be quite honest. You want to know what Gladys reminds me of? Y'all remember looking at the front room? The front room with Brandy and that old lady? That's what she reminded me of, that old lady that couldn't, Berlinder. That's all she kept on saying. She couldn't say Belinda. Berlinder. That's who she reminds me of. But anyway, so we get weapons. Girl, at one point I was like, it's supposed to be like a thriller, a horror movie, or a comedy. Baby, it was suspenseful a little bit. It was comedic. It was all of that. I was like, this is so silly. But it was good in the same sense. I do say one critique that I do have about it is that I feel like it was a little bit longer than it needed to be. Okay. The movie was 2 hours. The movie was 2 hours, okay? And that ain't even including the credits. It was 2 hours. And the way that it ended, I said, that's how you gonna end it? All right. But we get up into the movie, and who are the cast? I know that's Josh Brolin. Baby, I know Josh Brolin anywhere I see him. He up in this old girl that played Ruth from, oh my God, the Ozarks, okay? Bitch, I missed that. Damn. I was finna spoil it, because let me not spoil another show for somebody that didn't see it. Y'all gotta watch the Ozarks on Netflix, okay? That was good. And Ruth, she played a good job. But she played the teacher, Miss Justine, okay? And I ain't like the way that they was doing her. My girl did not deserve that, all right? I understand that, y'all a little... It's out of the ordinary, the stuff that happened. But to just put all that on her to make it seem like she did, girl, anyway, we gonna get up into the movie. So we get into the movie, and basically what we start off with. We start off with the fact that there is a child, a little girl that is narrating, and she's saying, this is my town, and about 2 years ago, they still recovering from being embarrassed as hell because 2 years ago, 17 kids up and left. They left their house at 2:17 in the morning, all running, and nobody knew where they was. And the town people, or mostly the police, they was embarrassed because they couldn't figure out. This was an embarrassment and a stain on the town, okay? And so they went back to what happened, right? So on this one particular day, we get Justine. She is a new person who, well, I don't know if she's necessarily new to town, but, well, actually not, because she had a little thing going on with the police officer, and obviously they knew each other for a minute, so that means that she been there, but she probably was new at that school, meaning she probably been there for that year, and she was showing up. She went to her class like she always do. And when she went in there, it was only one student up in there. His name was Alex Lilly. Where are the rest of the classmates? Where are the kids? Okay? It's 9 o'clock in the morning. Do you know where your kids are? Obviously, they didn't. Okay? And so at this point, it's this big uproar because they're trying to figure out what happened. And so what they gathered is at exactly not 9, but 2:17 in the morning, The kids that was in that classroom, and it was 17 of them, they wind up getting up out of bed and running out of their house in their pajamas, and they just went off into the dark. And ain't nobody seen them since at that time. And I was like, oh my God, what happened? And the only reason why that they knew that it was all at 217 because a lot of the houses had either, they had Ring cameras or they had like motion lights and stuff that went off, the security systems that went off at this that time or whatever. And so the kids was running outside. Now, what was the kids running outside like this? I said, now hold on, why are they doing that? They finna fly? Okay, you want to know what they reminded me of? If you watch Love is Blind, the way Edmund was running, he did the same thing. Okay, but see, he's a grown ass man. These are kids, all right? And so you got that going on, and it's been this big mystery. Nobody knows where the kids are. Then the school shut down for 30 days because they've been investigating, talking to Alex, his parents, trying to see if he know anything, trying to understand what's going on. Basically, the town kind of turned on Miss Justine. Mind you, she's a victim too, in a sense, because baby, I'm walking up in here and I don't see my class, and y'all automatically think that I had something to do with it. And so that's basically what it is. They felt like she had something to do with it, or she knew more than she did. They had a little teacher get together to talk to all of the students, or to the parents or whatever, before they opened the school back up. And of course, they didn't really they weren't really trying to hear nothing. And the main person that was leading the charge against Justine was Archer, played by Mr. Josh Brolin, right? And I was just like, sit down, okay? It's always that one person that want to be like, super save a hoe, and want to just accuse and think that they know what's going on when they really don't, and don't want to listen. And it got to a point where even the principal had to get Justine out of there because they wanted to hear her talk. And when she started talking and trying to tell them, girl, I don't know what the hell is going on. No, I don't want to hear that shit. Bitch, you know more what you know and all that stuff. And I was like, girl, you better get the hell up out of there. You better get the hell up out of there, because one thing about it, these parents are not playing about their kids, okay? And I'm just like, well, that ain't her fault, okay? So Justine did, after we get there, we get her going to the liquor store. Mind you, at this point, they break the movie up into different characters. So the first character that we see Justine. We get her story, right? Justine goes to the liquor store after this whole situation went down, and it's showing how everybody is intermingling. All of these characters that have these different story arcs are intermingling with each other. They come across each other at one point. She's go to the liquor store, and you got this guy that comes up to her trying to ask for some money to get a train ticket to see his brother. Child, please, okay? She goes in there, get her a couple of bottles of vodka, probably a little bottle of tequila, whichever one. All right? She goes home and, just making sure that nobody is there, because while she was in the liquor store, she gets a phone call and it's heavy breathing and it says no caller ID, and it was like, you better watch your back because shit finna start happening tonight. And I said, oh, excuse me, first of all, I wouldn't have answered no caller ID. Girl, please, okay? No caller ID, my ass. I don't answer numbers that I don't know, and I don't answer no caller ID. Now, if you want to, if it was important, you will leave a message. If it was somebody that I needed to know, you will leave a message, and I'll get back to you. But other than that, baby, I'm going to be in the dark, okay? Because I'm not answering it, And then, so, she gets home, she looking at TV, got the little Shark Tank on TV and all that stuff, fixing her little drinky drink. Somebody ring the doorbell. She goes and she's like, who is it? Yeah, she a little scared. She look out the peephole. Ain't nobody there. She go back up into the kitchen, bitch. Somebody's at boom, 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 boom. Bitch, she running out there. And I said, you literally just got a phone call while you was in the liquor store saying you better watch out because shit finna start happening. You finna get yours tonight. And you're in your home by yourself. Nice house. And then you decide to be Miss Tough Girl, Miss Badass, and you felt like a little bit of mace was going to help. Pepper spray, and you decide to go outside after you heard somebody bang, bang, bang on your door like that. And then when you already looked outside the first time, not even a minute before, that there was nobody out there, and you going to go step outside. Please, okay? In the dark of all times? Girl, I'll wait till daylight. You ain't gonna get me to go outside for nothing at that moment. But she went outside. She's looking. There's no one there. And then she looked across the street where she parked her car at, which I didn't understand why she parked her car across the street. But hey, she parked it across the street instead of in front of her house. And she looked and she saw that, somebody has put in red paint, took a whole paintbrush and wrote witch on her car. Girl, I would have been incensed like a motherfucker. Okay, the next morning, she up there trying to scrub it off. She couldn't scrub it off. She goes to the police station, file a report, and at first it just felt like the police officer really wasn't paying no attention to her. But then he started saying, giving examples of how this shit happened before to him and other people and woo. And then we noticed that it was another police officer that came out and she kind of like smiled at him and all that stuff. He smirked a little bit back. Next thing you know, we see her in the bar. And I said, oh, Miss Gurley took her glasses off and she got a little gussied up and everything. And then this same police officer outside of his uniform came and met her at the bar. They were sitting at the bar and then, listen, I said, what's going on here? His name is Paul. I said, are you supposed to be over here? Paul is a recovering alcoholic. Why are we at the bar? Okay. And basically, they got a little thing going on. Mind you, I think Paul is either married or have a girlfriend. But 9 out of 10, I'm going to assume that he's married to Donna or whatever. And she said, well, Miss Justine said, what's going on with you and her? He was like, I mean, we ain't nothing right now. See, this how niggas lie, okay? You cannot take dude's word for it at face value because 9 out of 10, they are lying, okay? How do we know that he's lying? Girl, we'll find that out later. But they got this little thing going on. She was trying to convince him to stay and all of this stuff. But the part that got me about their little conversation was when he was trying to say, you really think that the town is all about you and care about what you're doing and all this stuff? I'm like, yes, Paul. She literally just told you that somebody vandalized her car and put witch on there. We just literally saw every time she goes somewhere, they all looking at her, murmuring underneath their breath and accusing her of stuff. So yes, they're thinking about her. They think that she knows more than what she do. Okay, which she don't know nothing. But eventually, she convinced that man to have sex with her. He woke up in her bed, and then he gets to work. She gets to work, girl, she talking to the principal, Mr. Marcus, and he basically was like, I know you want to stay here, but at this point in time, you gonna have to go back home. Listen, we got some health benefits and all your stuff still intact, but at the moment, you gonna have to chill out because the parents just really they ain't feeling it right now, okay? Let them simmer down for a second, and then we'll try this shit again, okay? So she go back to the crib. Then next thing you know, she going to get some liquor again. She had to re-up. I said, damn, bitch, you just went to the store the day before and you got 2 big bottles of liquor. Now you going back to re-up? What's going on? Now, when she gets out the car, there is somebody else, this woman coming behind her, and she's stampeding. And I said, what's going on? What's happening? Girl, that's Donna. Donna came up in there and said, did you fuck him? Did you fuck him? And I said, oh my God, what are you talking about? I said, Paul, you got the wrist like that? He said, yeah, but I didn't mean to. It just so happened. The girls they just can't get their hands up off of me. And bitch, Donna, you might as well just, she did you a favor. Okay, first of all, you was doing way too much. When she took that bottle, I got a little scared because I said, wait a minute, don't bust in the head over no nigga, okay? Because at the end of the day, that's your man and you should be his ass, okay? I mean, we ain't for the violence, but you should go after him because he's more obligated to you than she is. And like she said, girl, I didn't know that y'all was still kicking it together because he told me that you wasn't. She opened up that bottle and just let all that liquor flow on her. Girl, I thought she was about to light a match at one point. I said, Donna, get the hell up out of here. Okay, what is your problem? Meanwhile, we put that on pause for a second. Justine also wants to talk to Alex, okay? Want to talk to Alex. They won't let her talk to Alex. Marcus, the principal, is telling her, no, you cannot do that, especially without a guardian and all of that stuff. Leave him alone. He's been going through so much as it is, given the fact that he's the only one in that classroom that did not disappear, right? And so at this point, she goes over to his home. She was at the school. She winds up seeing where he was, well, seeing him come out to school. And she winds up following him to the house. And so she sits outside the house. Before that, she, actually on this occasion, she went to the house and she notices that the windows are covered in newspapers, right? And so you can't really peek in. So you go into the back, and there was like a little opening in the newspaper in one of the windows, and she was able to peek in and see that bitch. It's a fucking dark ass mess up in that bitch. And then all of a sudden, jump scare. There goes some people sitting on the couch. I said, I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't expecting that. And so I did kind of go, what the fuck? Okay. I said, is these corpses? What's happening? I know this little boy ain't up in there, because we did see the little boy go up in the room, into the house. I said, what is happening? Girl, she ran. She tried to tell him what was going on. Ain't nobody trying to listen to her, because, girl, you ain't got no reason to be over there. She came back and she was sitting out there trying to do a little stakeout, right? She done fell asleep up in the car. She sitting in the car drinking and shit. She done drunk herself to a stupor. I said, oh my goodness, bitch, what is going on? You supposed to be on the stakeout. If you go drink something, drink some water. Drink a little. Well, I don't want to give you an energy drink, but maybe that's what you should have. Drink some coffee. That probably make you poo-poo. Okay? You needed to stay in the car. You needed to be alert. But girl, alcohol, she done fell dead to sleep up in the goddamn car. And then all of a sudden, good night, the door opens up. The door opens up to the house, right? This woman comes out with fucked up hair. She got freshly fucked hair, for real, for real. And it looked like, you know, something about Mary hair. If you've seen that movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And she like this. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? We finna do some acrobats or some shit. I'm ready for her to do some flips and shit. And then I know that she had something in her hand. I think the hand up like this. The arm was up like this. Then I said, when it got a little bit closer, I said, is it something in her hand? Oh my gosh, she got a knife in her hand. Bitch, it wasn't a knife. The lady come to the door. And she tried to open up the door, but Justine's door is locked, okay? And I'm talking about the driver door. Girl, she go on the other side. Next thing you know, we hear that, we hear unlock. I said, she getting in the car. She finna kill her. Nah, she ain't kill her. She just took the biggest fucking shears, cutting shears. She took them goddamn scissors and cut a slice of her hair. I said, what the fuck? Took a little lock of her hair. I said, Justine, you ain't realized that? You want to know who would have realized that their hair got cut? Helen Shivers, okay? From I Know What You Did Last Summer, she would have realized that. Girl, what's going on? All right? Then they go back into the house like ain't nothing happened. I said, oh, so we playing games like this? What are you doing? Justine go to her home at one point because she's so goddamn drunk up in there. She's having fucking dreams, and she had a nightmare. She was up in her classroom, and all the kids was down there, and they was asleep. Y'all ever play, that reminded me, what's the game? Dun, 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 time to play 7-Up. Some thumbs up, time to play 7-Up. Bitch, that's what it was reminding me of, right? And then all the kids just had their head down and all that shit. Next thing you know, we see Alex in the bed pull his head up ever so slightly, and he had a clown mask on, like he had white paint on his face, red smile, little blue eyes and all that shit, just like this. And I was like, She said, oh my God. I said, girl, first of all, it really wasn't that scary, so why you screaming like that? And she was like, because, bitch, I'm drunk. And I said, okay, I'll give you that. She went back to sleep and had another dream, bitch. She looked up on her ceiling, and there was a bitch on the ceiling with the same makeup, but it was just real fucked up. I said, now, shit, that would have scared me, and she still screamed like a bitch, too. And I said, girl, you deserve to scream, because who the fuck? What the fuck? All right? And I said, who is that? She kept popping up at this point. And I said, what's going on? Then we get from her story, we go to Paul, right? Paul is the cop. Come to find out, Donna, who is his either girlfriend or wife, whoever the fuck she is, he's a cop. Her daddy is the chief of police. Basically, her daddy is his boss. And you decide to, and mind you, now I'm not saying that this is a reason to cheat, because it's not. If you were so frustrated and the bitch is irritating you that bad, break up with her. But then again, Donna gives me the tease that she'll try to fuck your life up if you do break up with her, and probably try to get her daddy to fire him if he do. But she was on that phone and she was just talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. She was supposed to be going away on a work trip for work, and she was supposed to be gone for 6 days. Then they cut it down to 3 days because some shit happened that they only needed her for 3 days. Okay, cool. Tell my daddy that we gonna be there for the lunch anniversary or whatever tomorrow. Okay, later on Friday or some shit like that. He was like, okay. She was like, you at work? He was like, yeah, bitch, what the fuck? He was so annoyed. Okay, once he got off that phone, he told her daddy what was up, and that was basically what was going on, right? Meanwhile, we see, him hooking up with Justine from his point of view. He do come into the house later after that, and when he get through hooking up with Justine, he comes back home the next morning or whatever. Bitch, Donna is home. Donna wasn't supposed to be home that early. And see, Donna was probably more upset at the simple fact that she realized that not only did, he cheated too, but he also relapsed. Because when they was on that phone, she was telling him, you think you need to go to a meeting or something? He said, if I feel the urge to drink or anything like that, or feel like I'm in trouble, I'll go to a meeting. But at this point in time, I'm good. And as soon as she got off the phone with him, what he do? He go to work, and then he go out to the bar with Justine. Not saying that he drank anything, but something obviously happened, okay? That's what made Donna come and find Justine, and they get into it like the way that they got into it. Meanwhile, he back on duty, and he comes across this guy named James. Mind you, James is the one that, when Justine was going into the liquor store the first time, asked her for some money so he can get, a ticket to see his brother. Anyway, he's just a homeless vagrant, okay? That's just basically what he is. He's a bum, a drug addict. There it is. He sees him breaking into a building. He gets on, start chasing him in the car, then do a foot chase, and he lying and trying to say, I was just trying to get up into my job or whatever, just called a warehouse, I forgot my key and all that shit. Put him in some handcuffs, and he was actually being nice, though. I ain't even gonna hold you. He was like, you okay? You okay? Because we did fall pretty hard. You okay? Are the cuffs okay? I was like, you asking really, that's interesting. Put him up against the car. And he was going through the procedures and stuff. He asked him, do you have anything sharp on you? And dude kept on saying, no, I don't. So he patted him down. And when he pat his pocket, went into his pockets or whatever, he got his fingers nicked off of a needle. Okay? And so at that point, he had already had some, like, the little blue the blue latex gloves on, right? And so he got nicked by the needle. And I would have tripped out too. Because what the hell is going on? Girl, he looked at that shit and he just freaked out, and he was like, motherfucker, and he punched him in the face. And so he hurried up and got into the car. James is on the floor just passed out because he punched him that hard in the face. He gets in the car, try to sterilize his finger with the first aid kit and all that shit, but then he realized, damn, the dash cam is on. So he unplugs it or whatever. He goes and he wakes up James, and was basically like, chill out, okay? We can forget this ever happened. If I ever see you again, then I'm going to have to do something about it. But for right now, I'm going to let you go. And he had to go back to the police station. He tell the chief of police, and he basically was like, okay, so nobody's going to see that footage within the next 30 days. Somebody's going to, record over it. And if dude don't come in the next 30 days, you good. But if he do come and say something about it, you're fucked, okay? And so we got that whole situation going on. He's hoping that nothing happens. Next thing you know, later that day, he see James coming up to the police station or in the direction, and he see him, and he was like, I told you, motherfucker. God damn it. Okay, cool. Meanwhile, we get Archer, right? We're going to put a pause on Paul. Archer is one of the parents of one of the 17 kids that went missing out of the blue. He is married, I believe, because there was a woman in the house, but he was sleeping in his son's bed because, he misses his son. He don't know what's going on, and he became one of the parents that was obsessed with trying to find out where the children are, specifically his child. And at this point, I'm honestly not mad at it, because if that was to happen to me, yes, I would be doing the same thing. Ain't no sitting down just letting the cops or whoever else do it. Girl, I'm finna be stumping the floor. I drive myself crazy until I figure out what's going on. I feel like that's what a parent's supposed to do, especially if you love your child, and especially if it's a small child too, right? Cool. And so it got to the point where he's, messing up orders. He got a construction business. He keeps looking at the video of his son getting up out of his house and just running like that, okay? And it literally looks like they disappeared, because the Ring camera that they're looking at is not in color. It's in black and white. And so it's already dark outside. And so it just literally looks, at one point, they just vanish into the darkness. And it's like they float away or some shit. That's what it looked like. So he gets to his job, and it's a construction. They're doing construction on a home, and he's messing up the orders and got the wrong paint. The client wanted forest green paint for the door. They fucked around and got the red paint and painted the door red. So he was like, I'll take care of all of this. So therefore, that red paint gonna come in. They made sure to show us the red paint. Why? Because he was the one that pointed Justine car and put witch on that goddamn lady car, because he's been on her ass. He goes down there to the police station to talk to the chief, and was up there talking about some, man, we need to talk to that lady, and I need to talk to her ass, because bitch, have you done your due diligence and looked into her ass? Okay, because I looked into her. She got DUI. She was being too. She got let go from another school for misconduct or some shit. And the chief was like, yeah, with an adult. She had an inappropriate relationship with an adult. That's what it is, okay? Not with a child or anything of the such, all right? Mind you, the principal had told her that too, like, you can't be hugging a kid and, all of this stuff. You can't be doing certain these things. She was like, oh, God forbid I hug a kid because he's crying because something happened or whatever. It was something that was innocent, right? But in this day and age, you can't really be doing all of that shit, regardless of if it's innocent or not, because you don't want no lawsuits and no liabilities to happen. That's just really what it is, right? You got to take precautions, okay? But the police chief is basically telling him there's nothing in her background, and I'm pretty sure that she had nothing to do with this. Regardless of what happened in her past, that has nothing to do with these kids being missing. All of those kids were gone at the same exact time, and we saw the videos. So how was she able to do something with that? That don't make no sense, okay? Cool. He keep on trying to... Bitch, at one point, he figured some shit out. He doing some triangulation. He got some map of the neighborhood, because he see like this tower, the thing over there, and he was like, let me look at that. Okay, let me put that over here. This goes here. He goes to this one lady house, another parent want to see the Ring camera to see the direction that he got, the direction to where his son was going, the direction to where that other little girl was going, and then how they crossed paths, and it's trying to see where does it end up and what is in that circle right there. Okay, cool. So at this point, he leaves, and then Justine is at the gas station. Justine is at the gas station, bitch, and she getting some gas. He pulls up on her and basically threatening her to tell us what you know and all this stuff and woo, woo, woo. She's like, nigga, I don't know shit. Okay, what are you talking about? Like, I'm tired of this or whatever. Woo, blah, 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 blah. And next thing you know, Justine started getting real scary in the face. And I said, girl, what's going on? We see some dude come running. And I mean, he got dreaded blood on him. His eyeballs like this. And he just like this, like the kids was. And I said, oh my God, who is that? He looked familiar. Girl, why was it Marcus, the principal? I said, oh my God, Marcus, wake the fuck up. What's going on? Girl, he attacked Justine. Archie had to get his ass, and then we go off from him. Okay? Bitch, we get to James, right? we get to James, because we going to put a pause in that. James, a little, like I said, James was a crackhead, okay? He was just trying to get a hit. He was out there in the woods in his little tent, and I mean, just going through it. Because when you know you need help, when you got a pipe, and you are scraping the inside of it, trying to get the little remnants of it because you need that high, and you ain't got nothing on deck right there. So then he going around, trying to see if doors are unlocked on cars and shit, so that he can break in and find something or whatever to pawn. Doesn't really get anything. Tries to pawn a little kid's iPad or whatever, but it wasn't worth nothing. He sees the it's a poster on the back of the wall at the pawn shop saying it's a $50,000 reward for anybody who knows anything about those kids being missing, right? Or their whereabouts or anything. Okay, cool. So he couldn't get no money out of them, so he leaves out. And he winds up somehow coming across Alex's house. The door won't open up, so he climbs up into the second floor window, bitch. That's how much of a crackhead you have to be. Not the first floor, but the second floor, okay? Gets into the house, and we see fully in that house, that kitchen a fucking mess, cans and shit everywhere. But then, he starts to go and take stuff, and he notices at one point that somebody is sitting on the couch. Them two people sitting on the couch, okay? Bitch, I thought it was corpse, all right? They're not moving. They're fully human, but they're not moving at all. And so he was like, my bad. But since they weren't moving, he just went on ahead and went and got the silverware and all that shit. And he left out. But before that, he was hearing some noises, right? And it caused him to open up the basement door. He go downstairs and he look, bitch, why the motherfucking kids is down there in the basement? Alex, bitch, what's going on? And he heard some shit upstairs, and so that's what made him leave, right? And so he went to the pawn shop, and he got spooked like a motherfucker. He ran up out of there, and he went to the pawn shop and pawned them stuff, and he got $100, and he again see that poster, and he like, oh, $50,000. Now of course he's a fiend. He's fiending that. Okay, he needs to get a hit, and $50,000. God damn, what can I do? He do go get he re-up on a little bit of drugs, and he take his little hit, and he high as hell. He gets on the phone telling the people, so yeah, I got a tip. I know where them kids at or whatever. No, I ain't fucking playing with you. Come on and tell me. You got to show me, because when we gonna get this money? Because I need that money right now. He come down there to the police station, and this is when Paul sees him. Paul goes running after him because he was like, I told you not to come your ass over here. All right. So he winds up catching him. But before he catches him, he runs away from him into the woods. Right. And while he was there, all of a sudden he hears a noise that make him stop. And it wasn't Paul. He's looking around the woods, and then all of a sudden he see that lady with that fucked up face that Justine saw on her ceiling. And he runs into his tent. He zip his tent down, and he's scared as shit. Next thing you know, you see somebody coming up there. You see a little shadow, meaning there's somebody in front of the tent. He opens up his little case, and he finds some used needles that he already had that he used for his little drug use or whatever, right? So he prepared. He using them as a weapon. Girl, he opened up that tent. Well, the person opened up the tent, and as soon as they did that, he started stabbing him in the face. Bitch, it was Paul the cop. He was like, God damn. Oh my God. I said, you know what? He got him and put him in the car, and he was like, man, I thought you was that bitch that was up I was saying things or whatever. I thought you was that woman or whatever. And it was like, I know where them kids are and all this shit or whatever. He was like, what you talking about? It's in that house and all that stuff. And so before that, Paul said, God damn it, do you have the package? He was like, what? Do you got AIDS? Do you got hepatitis C? Do you got hepatitis of any kind, bitch? He was like, bitch, I don't know. And last time I checked, I did. And I said, Paul, go get yourself checked out before we figure out anything else, okay? Go get your shit cleaned up a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But they did go over there to the house. Paul had him locked up in the car, though, and so he left him in the police car, and he went to the door. Remember, them people was not moving up in that house, right? Paul went and knocked on that door. Somebody opened up the door and let him in. James in the backseat of the car like, what the fuck? Come to find out, Paul was up in that bitch for a minute. Because it was daytime. By the time he comes out, it's damn near nighttime. And he told his ass, he comes walking, and it's clearly not Paul no more. And he opens up that door, and he gets James, and he just drag his ass out. Mind you, James is handcuffed. Hands behind his back, and you just dragging his ass across the street. And I said, God damn it, whatever's going on in that house, they done got Paul, now they got James. All James wanted to do was get a little high. That's it. Girl, that's crazy. Then we get back to Marcus. Marcus is in a grocery store, right? And he gets this phone call from Justine, who was talking to him about, Alex and all this stuff, and, going to the house and how the house is papered up and all of this stuff. And it seemed like somebody was in there or whatever. Something was going on. Okay, cool. And so he says, you need to stay away, but I will have the parents come over into the school and talk to him. Have them talk to him about what's going on. Okay, just see what's up. And so she was like, cool. Mind you, he there with his husband. They trying to do their Saturday shopping, right? Or they weekly shopping, okay? He gets to work. His 2:00 comes in, and we thinking that it's Alex's parents. No, it's the bitch that they keep on seeing that was on the ceiling or whatever, and that was in the woods. Bitch, mama and her goddamn bang. I wanted her to pull that fucking wig forward a little bit. I said, girl, pull it forward. What's going on with you, girlfriend? Her name was Gladys, and she's supposed to be Alex's aunt. Basically like her great aunt, because I think that was his mother's aunt. Okay? And so she basically trying to say that the parents were sick and that's why they can't come down. She taking care of them and all that stuff. He was like, we don't want to have to call the authorities, so we ain't gonna say nothing or whatever. Just, let them give me a ring and all that shit. She sees the Marcus, the principal's ribbons and stuff, right? And she was like, you didn't call the authorities. He was like, no, because I ain't trying to get CPS involved just yet. Like, that's not what I'm trying to do. And she was like, all right, cool. Next thing you know, Marcus is at the crib with his men, and they having a little, Saturday chill day. They dressed alike. They got their little jogger set on, got their matching t-shirt on, and they sit in their little lazy boy chair eating some little hot dogs and chips, okay, and carrots. I said, oh, this is cute. I wouldn't know what that's about, but this is cute. They hear a knock at the door. Girl, it's Gladys. He like, how the fuck you get my address? She was like, listen, I was waiting for the bus or some shit, and I realized I was at the wrong stop. I am parched. Can I get some water? Of course. His husband is like, come on, let her in. Let her get some water. Let's get her water. She's an old lady. Damn it. Okay, bitch. She gonna say, I'd rather have water in a bowl, not a cup. Baby, do you know that she took out this branch and he looked at it and was like, bitch, first of all, are those my ribbons that's on that branch? And then she wound up cutting her hand, and she was like, look at all the blood. I said, girl, don't nobody want to see that shit. What are you doing? And then start rubbing her shit on there, and she cracked that bitch. Next thing you know, Marcus just goes like that, and she rang the bell, bing, and he just started going at his husband. And when I said start going at his husband, girl, bang, bang, with his head. Beat his face in with his own face. I said, oh my God, what is going on? And then once she put the branch into the water to rinse off the blood, that's when he stopped. But then she took Justine's hair, wrapped it around the branch, and put the blood on there or whatever, and basically rang that bell and told. And so that's basically go get Justine. That's why, and who we saw coming at Justine running like that. And so now Archer understands, okay, Justine ain't got nothing to do with it, because this is how the kids was running outside the house, just like that. Same form and everything. Baby, they had to, what really pissed me off about this was when Justine ran up into the gas station, and then she tried to go out the back door, but it was locked or whatever. And Archer came in and knocked Marcus into one of the glass refrigerator doors or whatever. And then here goes the goddamn clerk at the gas station. Get the hell about my store. Bitch, why don't you help? You mean to tell me you ain't got a gun or something or a bat back behind that goddamn counter? You could have came up in there and helped her a little bit. You see that woman in distress, but she got up out of there. She got up in her car. He busted that window. And what was irking me about that, she took too long to turn that car on. I know we're a little scared, but baby, flight or fight. Okay, now you can't fight. Bitch, turn the key up in the goddamn ignition and drive the fuck off. All right. She drive off eventually. Do you know Marcus is still behind her fucking running? And then Archie gets up in his car trying to get to him. I said, somebody run this motherfucker over. And as soon as I said that, he got ran over by somebody else that ain't had nothing to do with it. I said, God damn. Not Marcus, but hey, he had to go. All right. So then basically we get the backstory on Alex. Okay. We get the backstory on Alex. Alex's parents were regular parents, okay? Those were his parents that were sitting on that couch. And he was getting bullied. Come to find out, he was getting bullied by Archer's son. The one he trying to, Matthew, where you at, Matthew? I said, when that revealed who his son was, I said, no, he could stay just like that with his little bully ass. I can't stand a bully. Okay, I said, I see exactly where it come from. Because you was trying to bully Miss Justine to tell you what was going on, and Justine ain't know nothing about what was going on, okay? I said, like father, like son, that's really what was going on. And so, you know, Alex's daddy came up there, picked him up, was telling him about the fact that, you know, Aunt Gladys was coming to stay. He was like, who the fuck is her? And why? Well, she's a little sick, and, you know, your mom wanted to take care of her and all this stuff, and woo, woo, woo. Girl, they finally get the Aunt Gladys come to the house. She look a goddamn mess. She took her wig off. He peeking up in the door. He hearing what the mama and the daddy saying. Girl, next thing you know, mama and daddy sitting at the table ain't moving worth a damn. So whatever it is that, and see, this is the point. This is my problem with the movie. Gladys came over there and did what she did to them kids and to Marcus, and later Paul and James to the parents. Why you do that to your relatives? What's going on? What happened? I didn't understand that. What was her whole purpose of doing all of this shit, right? She took control over them and made Alex basically promise not to say nothing about this. And he was looking like, bitch, who the fuck are you? She said, don't tell nobody that I'm here. He said, bitch, who the fuck are you? That's how he was looking. And because he wasn't responding to her the way that she wanted to, she did the same thing, took their branch and all that shit, put a little, blood on it, and next thing you know, them motherfuckers picked up a goddamn fork and just started stabbing themselves in the face. Until he said stop, and she was like, now say it out loud. You promise that you're not going to say nothing. He said, I promise I'm not going to say nothing. And that's exactly what he did. He went to school like nothing was going on. She made him feed the parents soup all the time. And then at one point, he came in there and he noticed that the lady was on the floor just ratchet, and she had a little bohemian braids up in her hair looking like Bo Derek and shit. And I said, girl, what's going on? She said, girl, I'm sick as shit. I'm not getting any better. I thought being here with your parents would make me better. And he was like, what you need to get better? Maybe you need to give me some shit from your school, from your classmates or whatever. He said, how the fuck would that make you better? It was like, well, why don't you do that and I'll get the fuck up out of here. He said, well, shit, bitch. You ain't said nothing but a word. He went to school looking at everybody's shit like, And I'm like, don't make it so obvious. He wound up getting like these letters and shit that the kids wrote or whatever. Brought him to Gladys. Gladys was putting them in the bowl of water. And so she the one that took the kids up out the house, okay? We see them coming out at 217 down into the house, into the basement, bitch. Okay? And so that's what it was. Meanwhile, Paul found out what was going on. And then I can't even remember. Oh, God, we get to Justine and Archer because now they realize what was going on because that paper that had the houses on there. And she was like, this house right here, that's Alex's house. And so they went over there to Alex's house and they were sitting outside and they noticed that the police car was out there, right? And so it was like, what the fuck is the police car sitting out there for? And next thing you know, Paul comes outside and he looks across the street and he was like, and it was like, what? And you want to know what they did? They got up out the car and went inside the house. I said, now whatever happens to you, happened to you, because why would you do that? Girl, they get up in there and prior to them coming up in there, Gladys had put some salt in front of them, all right, and told Alex, don't step on that salt or don't step over that salt, okay? And she said, we're about to leave. I said, where y'all going? Girl, as soon as she come up in there, what's her name? Justine fucked around and stepped on the salt. That business, and you know, Paul came at her ass. Then James came at her ass. So you got Paul trying to kill her. Archer went after James. Bitch, I'm telling you this. That scene with Archer and James going at each other, and each and every goddamn time Archer thought he had James down for the count and he was out of here, James kept... I'm sorry, that shit was funny as hell, especially when he threw him across the couch. It was like every time he hit him so much and he was down for a second. He get back up, hit him again, he was get back up. Then he come charging him and he threw him across the street, across the couch. Then the door to the basement opens and he, you know, basically they struggling at the basement. That's when Archer sees, oh shit, there go the kids. Okay, cool. Meanwhile, you know, Paul and Justine, they still fighting. Girl, she done took a goddamn cheese grater or I should say an apple peeler and fucking peeled his face, sliced his face twice. I said, what in the skin graft is going on? Girl, Paul threw that shit and said, bitch, what the fuck? And they just kept on going. Bitch, she took his gun and shot him in the throat. Did that stop him? Absolutely not. She shot him in the Adam's apple. And he just kept on going. So she had to do with his head. And I said, I was like, you remember on not Scary Movie, but Scream 3, when Dewey was trying to take Roman out and they was like, head, Dewey, head. That's how I was. I said, Justine, head, bitch. And she did it. Then she came through and she took James out too. And so now we got the adults gone. Okay. But at this point in time, also, Alex had stepped over the salt for where his parents were, and he started running into his bedroom, and then he ran into their bathroom. Then he ran into the room where what's her name was Gladys was at. Took the branch for Gladys, put his blood on it, and put her hair on it, cause she was down there in that basement. Cause when after James got killed or whatever, Archer went down there looking at the kids trying to see where Matthew was, his son was, and then she popped up in the basement like, and I was like, girl. She was giving very much, I can smell your nappy pussy. You know, she was giving very much that tease. I cannot believe Glenn Close did that shit. That shit was funny as fuck. I ain't even gonna hold you. But that's how she was up in there like a naked mall rat up in that goddamn house basement. Bitch. And then when little Alex did her little thing, bitch, she heard that shit crack and she heard that bell go ping. Them kids went and she started running, bitch, because them motherfucking kids started running. I said, for an old bitch, you can run. You for a sickly old bitch, you is out here running. I mean, had her running through the neighborhood. Girl, she done went through 3 houses, and the man that was the black couple, first of all, was just sitting there like, they knew not to come through their house. Baby, they came through that white family house, and I mean when I say came through and fucked the shit up. Okay, we ain't opening doors, we running through walls and windows. Okay, then it was the black family, the black couple. They sit out there on their little porch, enclosed porch or whatever in the backyard. Did they fuck they shit up? No, they was running in the lawn. I said, I know that's the fuck right. Then that man that was mowing the lawn, he was just looking like, what the fuck? This is some shit that you don't see every day. And then it was another house that Gladys ran through, and she used she tried to close the gate on them. Bitch, them motherfucking kids knocked that gate down and attacked her. Girl, they tore Gladys' ass to pieces. tore her up literally. I said, oh my God, when they was just, I said, damn, Gladys, Gladys, Gladys. I know you wish you never came here, bitch. Okay. And then at this point, when that happened, it was the bell. I think Alex rang the bell and everybody just stopped. Okay, the kids stopped because at one point when Gladys was down in that basement and Archer had came down there, bitch, she did the same thing to Archer. Archer came up there trying to take Justine out, and right before he can really choke her ass out, Alex had rang that bell and he snapped up out of it. And he went out there and he was retracing all the steps, whatever, where the kids were, because you just follow the damage. Just follow the debris. When they went up into that house, that lady was like, oh my God, where is her shoe? Oh my God, honey, there's a strange man up in the house. This one I'm talking about, the shit was comedy, bitch. I said, I know this ain't supposed to be making me laugh, but it is. It is. And when he found the kids, he found Alex. And when I found out that it was the little bully, I said, Matthew, I found out it was the little bully. I was like, oh. He wound up getting his son. The little boy ain't say shit. And then the little girl come through narrating and was like, the kids was reunited with their parents. Well, some of them actually started talking again this year. I said, wait a minute, what? And it was like Alex's parents are still being fed soup, just not by him. And he's going to live with another nicer aunt. I said, what the fuck? Mind you, Alex had to feed the mama and the daddy soup, and then he had to feed them kids soup too while they was in the train. I said, bitch, give him a raise. Give him a goddamn raise. Now, I said, now, why did they end it like that? I wanted to see them start talking. Is it going to be a part 2? Because what? I just feel like it's incomplete. Like, how the kids come up out of that shit? I really want to know. I really want to know. And is the parents going to come up out of that shit too? Like, girl. But all in all, if I had to give this a rating out of 10, I'd give it an 8. Because the shit, it was funny to me. It was good. It had its little moments or whatever. But I was into it. Like, I can definitely watch this a couple of times back to back. Like, it was cool. See, bitch. I'm thinking about something. The way that man had that lawnmower, baby. Girl, I just spit on my goddamn computer. Anyway, let me get up off of here. Y'all, enjoy your weekend. And I will see y'all later. Peace.